drop 40 with a left hand and then we'll talk.
So here's the latest. Larry Bird just fired back at Pat Beverley after Bev disrespected Bird's legacy with one of the most outrageous takes in NBA history. Today, we're breaking down everything, from Beverley's comments to the reactions from fans and fellow players like Eddie Johnson and Jalen Rose. And if you think this is just another Pat Bev controversy, think again. Bird dismantled his credibility with a single response. It all kicked off in late August on the Pat Bev podcast, where he was doing what he does best, talking. They got into one of those classic NBA debates, Kevin Durant or Larry Bird, and what happened next? It was explosive.
And if Kevin Durant was playing when Larry Bird was playing, he would average 50.
Nobody was averaging 50.
Kevin Durant would have been.
Kevin Durant's one of my favorite players of all time, but I know...
Within minutes, the internet exploded, and within hours, the clip was everywhere. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, one side waving Kevin Durant's advanced stats and three-point percentages, the other waving Bird's MVPs and those iconic 80s highlights where he dominated entire teams. By the end of the weekend, it wasn't just a hot take anymore, it was a full-blown culture war, old school versus new school, grit versus skill, trash talk versus Twitter talk. And in the eye of that storm? Pat Beverley, a role player with a microphone who somehow had the entire basketball world debating one of the greatest ever. But to understand why it felt so absurd, you have to remember who Pat Beverley is. He's not an NBA legend. He's an ex-player known far more for his mouth than his scoring. A guard from Chicago, second-round pick in 2009, Beverley had to fight his way into the league, taking a winding path through Ukraine, Greece, and Russia before finally breaking through with the Houston Rockets in 2013. From day one, Pat Beverley's identity was crystal clear. He was built to annoy elite players. That's literally how he made a name for himself. He hounded guys like Russell Westbrook relentlessly, turning lockdown defense into a personality trait. Over the years, he bounced around the league, Houston, the Clippers, Timberwolves, Lakers, Bulls, and Sixers, and at every stop, you knew exactly what you were getting, a role player whose specialty was getting under the skin of his opponents. But here's the twist, that same edge that made him a pest on the court morphed into his new identity of it. In 2022, he joined Barstool Sports and launched the Pat Bev podcast with Ran, and suddenly, his microphone mattered far more than any box score ever did. Bev doubled down on his naturally annoying personality, carving out a lane that thrived on provocation. And this isn't new, controversy has trailed him like a shadow for years. Remember when he made that infamous list ranking the whitest black players in the league? Yep, that was classic Pat Bev.
We got Jared Allen.
Why? Just because he likes anime?
I mean, okay.
Just because he has sweet sideburns?
You asked, you didn't make...
No, I didn't ask.
Or how about when he called Chris Paul a cone? Yeah, that's classic Pat Bev, always stirring the pot and making sure people are talking.
He can't guard. He literally can't guard.
Chris Paul can't guard anybody?
No, he can't. Everyone knows that. What we call them? Cone. You know what you do with cones? You make a move. What does the cone do?
Stay still.
Exactly. He's a cone.
Just loud and wrong, every single time. In today's era of player podcasts, where ex-players turn microphones into media empires, Pat Bev has carved out a very specific role, the disruptor. While guys like JJ Redick and Draymond Green aim to educate and enlighten fans, Beverley thrives on chaos, hot takes designed to piss people off. So when he claimed Kevin Durant clears Larry Bird, it wasn't just a questionable basketball opinion, it was a professional instigator doing what he does best, sparking debate, clicks, comments, and reaction videos. But this time, he stepped into dangerous territory by dragging Larry Bird into his nonsense. Bird wasn't just another NBA legend, he was the kind of competitor other legends feared. When people talk about Larry Bird, it's never just about stats, it's about unforgettable moments. Like the 1984 finals, when the Celtics had just been humiliated in Game 3. Bird called his teammates out as soft on live TV, a move that could have cost him the locker room. Instead, he came back averaging 28 and 14, outworked everyone on the floor, and carried Boston to a championship, winning Finals MVP in the process. Then came the 1991 playoffs against the Pacers, one of those moments that turned Larry Bird into folklore. He took a brutal fall, cracked his cheekbone, got concussed, and disappeared into the tunnel. Everyone thought he was done for the night. Then, out of nowhere, Bird came storming back onto the court like it was a WWE comeback. The Garden erupted. And somehow, that man, dizzy, bleeding, half-conscious, led the Celtics to victory. But that kind of toughness only makes sense when you remember where he came from, French Lick, Indiana. A tiny town of barely 2,000 people, no fancy AAU circuit, no big city spotlight. Just a small-town kid with a work ethic sharp enough to carve his name into basketball history. At Indiana State, he turned a no-name program into a national sensation, leading them all the way to the 1979 title game, the birth of the legendary Bird vs. Magic rivalry. Magic may have won that night, but Bird walked away with something more lasting: respect. And when he finally joined the Boston Celtics, a broken 29-win team with no direction, everything changed instantly. His rookie year alone, Bird dragged them to 61 wins and brought the Celtics' winning DNA back to life, and anyone who truly knows basketball understands that kind of turnaround doesn't happen by luck, it happens because greatness walks into the room. From that point on, the 80s became Larry Bird's playground. 3 championships in 1981, 1984, and 1986. 3 straight MVPs, a feat only a handful of legends have ever matched. 12 All-Star appearances. But the numbers only tell half the story. What really defined Bird was the way he saw the game. He played like a chess grandmaster in sneakers, thinking 2, 3 moves ahead, dissecting defenses before they even realized they were being set up. He didn't need freakish athleticism, his mind was his superpower. Bird could pass like a point guard, shoot like a sniper, and control the floor like he'd already read the script. Teammates said he'd literally direct the mid-play, tell them where to go, thread a perfect pass, and if they missed the shot, he'd roast them on the spot. By the time he hung it up in 1992, he had done it all: rings, MVPs, respect, and a legacy that still defines what basketball IQ means. Oh, and then there was that legendary statement about his left hand, the one that turned a regular game into a Bird mythology moment.
Didn't Bird shoot left-handed for an entire game against Portland?
Scoring 47 points. You're especially using your left hand.
Oh.
That wasn't some made-up flex or locker room myth, it actually happened. And to this day, it remains one of the wildest stories in NBA history.
And he's at 87% and 6th in the league right now.
In 1986, Larry Bird did something so outrageous it still sounds like a myth. He faced the Portland Trail Blazers and decided to play almost the entire game using only his left hand. Not because he was hurt, but because, as he put it, he was saving his right hand for the Lakers. That night, he casually dropped 47 points, grabbed 14 rebounds, and dished out 11 assists, a triple-double done mostly with his offhand. Think about that for a second. In today's NBA, if someone even attempted that in a live game, social media would explode. But for Bird, it was just another night at the office. And to top it off, he actually went on to beat the Lakers days later. So when people claim Kevin Durant is clearly above Larry Bird, they tend to forget Bird once torched a team with the hand he barely used. By 21, Larry Bird was already the league scoring leader, and by 28, he had 2 finals MVPs plus the reputation of being nearly impossible to guard. But here's the key: in his era, Bird wasn't just playing the game, he was redefining it before social media, advanced analytics, or modern training even existed. That's why when Patrick Beverley claimed Kevin Durant would have dominated the 1980s, fans didn't bring up Bird's left-hand game out of nostalgia, they brought it up as proof. Bird didn't rely on the times to make him great, his greatness forced basketball to evolve. KD is undeniably brilliant, but his success has always come within carefully built systems. Oklahoma City was his lab, Golden State his cheat code, Brooklyn his failed experiment, and Phoenix an unfinished project. Bird, on the other hand, walked into a broken Boston franchise in 1979 and single-handedly turned it into a dynasty. That's the difference between fitting into greatness and creating it. Kevin Durant's Oklahoma City squad wasn't short on talent, it was loaded with future MVPs. Larry Bird, on the other hand, didn't join greatness, he built it from the ground up. Durant twice aligned himself with powerhouse teams, thriving in an era defined by space, pace, and protection, no hand-checking, no brutal fouls, and certainly no enforcers like Bill Laimbeer waiting to flatten you. KD mastered a game built for finesse, Bird conquered one built for survival. In Bird's day, toughness came before talent, your will was tested long before your jumper. Today, it's Wi-Fi connections before shot clocks. Mentally, they were worlds apart. Bird didn't just aim to win, he wanted to destroy you. He'd talk trash, call your plays mid-possession, and still hit the shot in your face. So when someone says KD clears Bird, it's like comparing an iPhone to the man who invented electricity. Bird wasn't just skilled, he was psychologically lethal. And the wildest part? Every story about him, no matter how unbelievable, comes from the mouths of those who actually faced him, and every single one of them says the same thing.